When an American warship appears near a potential flashpoint, an enemy has to answer one question first: what can it actually do? With USS Tripoli, that question is surprisingly difficult because Tripoli is not a traditional aircraft carrier. It is not simply a troop ship, and it is certainly not just another large vessel moving through the Pacific. It is a floating combination of aircraft, marines, command systems, helicopters, and expeditionary capability. And when its deck is packed with F-35B Lightning II fighters, the ship can suddenly take on a very different character. That is where things get interesting. A fixed airbase has an address, an enemy can watch it, map its runways, study its support facilities, and calculate how far its aircraft can reach. Tripoli does not have an address that stays put. It can move across thousands of miles of ocean. Its aircraft can launch from the sea, its marine forces can be carried with it, and depending on the mission, the ship can be configured around very different combinations of aviation and expeditionary operations. For a military planner on the other side of the map, that creates an uncomfortable problem. You are not just tracking a ship, you are tracking a moving set of possibilities. And the strangest part is that the United States has already demonstrated just how dramatically those possibilities can change. In 2022, Tripoli became the center of an experiment that put 20 F-35Bs aboard the ship during a Lightning carrier demonstration. 25th generation fighters on an amphibious assault ship. That did not turn Tripoli into a nuclear-powered supercarrier, but it proved something arguably more useful. The United States could create another mobile source of advanced air power without building another traditional aircraft carrier. And now, after years of exercises, deployments, and operational testing, Tripoli is no longer just an interesting experiment. It has become part of America's forward-deployed naval force in the Indo-Pacific. So what exactly makes this ship such a difficult problem for an adversary? The answer begins with what Tripoli was designed to be. 1. The ship that wasn't supposed to be a carrier. At first glance, USS Tripoli can fool you. It is enormous. The America-class amphibious assault ship is roughly 844 feet long, with a displacement of more than 43,000 long tons when fully loaded. Its flight deck stretches across most of the ship's length, giving it the appearance of something that belongs in the same conversation as an aircraft carrier. But appearances can be misleading. Tripoli was built for the United States Marine Corps' expeditionary mission. Its job is not simply to send aircraft into the sky. It is designed to help move Marines, aircraft equipment, and supplies into areas where the United States may not have a large, friendly military base available. That difference is crucial. A conventional aircraft carrier is built around generating sustained air power. Its air wing is the centerpiece. An amphibious assault ship has a broader purpose. It can support aircraft operations while also functioning as a centerpiece for marine expeditionary operations. That gives commanders something that is extremely valuable during a crisis: options. Imagine a crisis developing thousands of miles from the continental United States. There might be no guarantee that a nearby country will allow American aircraft unlimited access to its airfields. A runway could become damaged, political conditions could change, an existing base could become a target, or the crisis could move faster than ground forces can be repositioned. A ship has a different advantage: it can relocate, and Tripoli was designed around that reality. The ship belongs to the America class, which represents a major change from earlier amphibious assault ship designs. The first two America-class ships were configured with a greater emphasis on aviation operations, and Tripoli continued that aviation-focused approach. Instead of treating the flight deck as merely one component of a large amphibious system, the design gives aviation an unusually prominent role. That matters because the aircraft operating from the deck can dramatically change what the ship is capable of doing, and one aircraft in particular turns Tripoli from an unusual amphibious ship into something far more complicated. The F-35B-2, then the F-35B changes the equation. The F-35B is not simply a newer version of a conventional fighter. It was designed for a very different operational problem. The aircraft can conduct short takeoffs and vertical landings, allowing it to operate from amphibious assault ships that do not have the catapult and arresting wire system used by America's largest aircraft carriers. That is a huge distinction. A traditional carrier aircraft needs a specific type of carrier deck. The F-35B does not. It can operate from a ship like Tripoli, and that means the ship can bring fifth-generation aviation capability with it wherever the force needs to go. The significance goes beyond stealth. The F-35B combines low observable characteristics with sophisticated sensors, electronic systems, communications, and data-sharing capabilities. Its role is not simply to fly toward a target and release a weapon. It is designed to collect information, understand the battle space, and share that information with other elements of the force. That creates a networked effect. An F-35B operating from Tripoli can be part of a much larger system involving surface ships, submarines, aircraft, satellites, unmanned systems, and forces ashore. So when someone looks at Tripoli and counts aircraft, they may be missing the bigger picture. The aircraft are sensors, they are communications nodes, they are sources of targeting information, and they are weapons platforms. The ship is essentially carrying a piece of America's wider combat network across the ocean. That is why the F-35B changes the equation. But there was still one question: could Tripoli operate a large concentration of these fighters in a realistic military scenario? The answer came in 2022, and it was much more dramatic than a routine flight exercise. 3. The 20-fighter experiment. For decades, the traditional image of American naval aviation centered on the supercarrier, a massive nuclear-powered ship, a large air wing, catapults launching fighters into the sky, arresting wires catching them on recovery. It is an extraordinary system, but it is also extraordinarily valuable, and that creates a problem. If an adversary is preparing for a major conflict, it naturally wants to understand where America's most important naval aviation assets are and how they can be used. That is one reason the Lightning carrier concept was so interesting. Instead of asking how to make every amphibious assault ship behave like a traditional aircraft carrier, American planners explored whether these ships could provide an additional source of fifth-generation air power. USS Tripoli became the centerpiece of that experiment. In 2022, the ship operated with 20 F-35Bs during a Lightning carrier demonstration. Think about what that meant. The ship had been designed as an amphibious assault platform. Now its flight deck was supporting a large concentration of advanced stealth fighters. It was not intended to replace a Ford-class or Nimitz-class carrier. That would be the wrong comparison. The point was redundancy, more options, more locations from which fifth-generation aircraft could operate, and potentially more ways to complicate an adversary's calculations. That distinction is important because the Lightning carrier concept was never simply about making a smaller aircraft carrier. It was about distributed naval aviation. If a fleet relies on only a handful of extremely valuable aviation platforms, an enemy knows what it needs to find. But if advanced aircraft can operate from several different kinds of platforms, the problem becomes more complicated. Now an adversary has to consider more than just the obvious carriers. There could be F-35Bs operating from amphibious assault ships. There could be land-based F-35s. There could be aircraft on Allied bases. There could be long-range bombers. There could be submarines and surface ships contributing to the same operation. The individual platforms matter, but the network matters even more. And the 20 aircraft demonstration gave planners real-world information about what Tripoli could support. Operational testing later examined the ship's ability to conduct missions involving F-35Bs, including strike and defensive counter-air operations, as well as the command, control, and communications required to support them. That is important because there is a huge difference between saying a ship might be able to do something and actually testing it. Tripoli moved the idea from a PowerPoint presentation toward an operational capability. But that still leaves another question. If the ship can carry all these aircraft, why does its mobility matter so much? Because a runway that moves is a very different problem from a runway that does not. 4. The runway that moves. Imagine planning an air campaign against an enemy with a large fixed airbase. You know where the base is. You can monitor it. You know where the runways are. You can identify hangars, fuel storage, maintenance areas, radar systems, and other infrastructure. You can estimate how many aircraft might be operating there. It is still difficult to attack a modern military airbase, but at least the problem has a physical location. Now replace that airbase with a ship. The runway is moving. The aircraft can launch from the ocean. The ship can change its position. Its location can be incorporated into a wider naval formation, and the ship can move again before an adversary's planning cycle catches up. This does not make Tripoli invisible.